So here's a knife I've had for a little while now, and I haven't done a review on it, but I'm going to take a look at it today. This is the Bark River Mountaineer 2, and this is in CPM crew wear, and this particular one is desert ironwood, and it's got red liners and mosaic pins. I actually can't remember now whether it was desert ironwood burl or not. I believe it was just desert ironwood. I'm trying to look here for my box at the same time for it, but yeah, anyways, I can't find it. So yeah, this little knife, if I remember correctly, it's basically a newer sort of updated take on the, what the heck was the model? I'm trying to think of it now. It was the Huntress or I think, not the Huntress. But anyways, it's a take on a knife that they've had for quite a while now. I'm gonna have to look up the darn information on this. I'm trying to make a video about it, and I don't even remember what the heck the name of the knife was. But it was designed to be a companion knife, I think, for the Gameskeeper, which is quite a bit larger, and was originally the knife that the Bravo 1 was developed from. So going back to this knife here, so CPM crew wear. You know, if you're not familiar with it, it's, you know, an extremely high wear resistant tool steel. It's not stainless, but it, you know, does offer, you know, a reasonable amount of corrosion resistance, given what it is. It's not quite as corrosion resistant as CPM 3V, but it does offer, you know, significantly more wear resistance, and it doesn't really give up much in terms of toughness, right? So it, for me, is a much better steel. I like it quite a bit more than 3V. I like the edge that it takes. I find that it takes a really fine edge and it sharpens up, in my experience, probably easier than 3V. It's not easier to restore a really dulled edge, but it's easier to maintain, you know, a reasonably sharp edge versus 3V. 3V for me, and maybe it's just my own experiences, but I find it a little bit, you know, funny sometimes with trying to get that edge back to hair popping sharp. It, you know, gets to a point where you just can't touch it up very well, and it really wants, you know, more substantial sharpening process where you form a burr and then knock that burr off the, you know, off of the apex there. So this knife, it's a small knife. You can get a full 4-finger grip in it. I've got fairly large hands, and I don't have any problems with it. It's quite a comfortable little knife. I mean, if you were using it for heavy stuff all the time, doing like bushcraft work with it, you'd probably find it fatiguing. But it's not really, you know, designed for that. It's either going to be used for sort of everyday carry stuff, but in most cases it's probably going to be used as a hunting knife, and in those circumstances it's an excellent little knife. You know, you can, you know, do a pinch thumb grip like this, you know, good comfortable pinch grip like this. It's quite thin there, so it lends itself well to that. It's got a real nice Coke bottle handle shape, and it's just a overall beautiful little knife. Prior to this, probably my favorite Bark River knife that I've got in this sort of size range is my Bravo EDC, which is fairly similar. So I'll grab that just to show you in comparison. It's a similar size knife, but it's got quite a bit smaller. It's got a smaller handle, and it does not have the guard. It's got a little bit of crap on it just because I've oiled it before I put it away in the sheath here. So as you can see, it's a little bit smaller, but I run it in the pocket sheath. So I don't know if you can fit this one in a pocket sheath, but you could certainly get somebody, you know, such as Louis there at Delta Sheath to make one for you. But this one, it's too small for me to have a proper 4-finger grip on it. I mean, if I'm actually gripping the knife properly, like it's a 3-finger knife for me. But it's not bad. People will bitch and complain about the size of it, but it is what it is. It's a small knife. It's not a big knife, right? So same thing, you know, very similar shaped handle. They're a little more contouring, maybe a little thinner up there than the Mountaineer 2, yeah, so lends itself a little better to pinch grip. This is a really excellent knife. It's one of my favorites, but this one here is definitely better size-wise and comfort-wise in the handle. It's a really, really, really nice little knife. Now, for deer hunting, medium game, you probably can't find a nicer knife in this sort of size range. It's a take on like a Loveless style pattern, and pretty much anything Loveless styles, Loveless style blades and whatnot, you can't find too much to fault with them, whether it be the looks of them or the function of them. They're just overall, they're just really, really well thought out handle designs and shapes. They just work really well with the human hand here. But going back to CPM crew wear, I really want to, drive home how much I really do like this steel. I've got it in a few other knives, and it's a shame that there isn't more offerings in this steel. 3V kind of seems to be the standard sort of upgrade for people, and people like it. For me, the main, benefit to 3V over this is simply corrosion resistance. It's not toughness. If you're seeing the advantage in toughness from 3V over CPM crew wear here, I have no idea what you're doing with the knife. I mean, it's just beyond me. And the other thing about crew wear is it, has a higher apex stability for thin edges, so thin behind the edges, right? So that's a big deal for slicing. So I'll take a look here with my dial caliper and just give you an idea what we're dealing with here thinness wise. I mean, this is a full convex edge, so I mean, it's really hard to get a proper measurement. But I mean, if I'm right down close, I mean, you're 10 thou, you go up a little bit, you're 15 thou, 20 thou is a good mill, 25 thou is a good mill into the blade here. I'm not sure how well it's showing on the camera, but if I go, for instance, right up to the middle part of the blade, we're still under 100 thou. So this blade itself is 160. So it's, it's a stout spine on this thing. So right there, right in the middle part of the blade, you're about 100 thou. So that's pretty phenomenal edge geometry for, cutting. And a knife like this, that's what you want. You don't want a knife that's, built like a brick shit house that can't cut and slice. This is definitely more along the lines of what I like to see in a knife. This paper here is probably not going to cut as well as I'd like, but to give you an idea of the sharpness, I mean, it's sharp. It's a little bit damp down here. Sometimes paper gets a little soft almost. But yeah, no, she's sharp. I don't know how many of these are left, because they've been out for a couple months now. But anybody looking for, good hunting knife, definitely can't say anything bad about this one, that's for sure. Just, and it's timeless, really a pretty knife. See if I've got something else here I can show you quickly to compare it to size wise. What do we got here? Well, here, I haven't done a video on this yet, which I will, is my tusk. So that is based on the original Fox River knife, where people have actually shortened them down to create like this Wharncliffe sheep's foot sort of style blade. I think this is more of a sheep's foot than a Wharncliffe. If I remember right, probably falls under that category a little more. This is the updated version, so it's got a little bit more of an angle of attack to the handle. Really nice knife. But anyways, I digress. Go back to the Mountaineer 2. Oh, here we go. I'll grab you my Bobcat Hunter. So similar blade size, a little bit longer handle. And this one is thinner as well, so it's a different feeling knife. You know, much more delicate in comparison to this. This is a stout knife. Oh, now I remember the knife that this was kind of based on. It's the Huntsman. So I should remember that because it's been a knife that I've looked at for, you know, a long period of time, and have kind of drooled over it. And given that I do have the Gameskeeper, I've always wanted one. So, and I never did buy one, just never worked out where I could afford it, you know, when I saw ones come up that were, you know, in my handle configuration of choice. So when this one came out and they were doing the pre-orders, I put a pre-order in and ordered it. So, but yeah, this is the Bobcat Hunter and the Mountaineer 2. Not gonna lie, I love this knife too, but I like the feeling of this knife, just the heft of it. You know, feels good in the hand. This one, you know, this is a really nice knife, but almost like a little bit more contouring, a little more, you know, a little thicker in here, maybe a little less thin in here, but it's hard to say. I mean, they're both excellent knives. I just find this one more comfortable when you're gripping it like this. And this one, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that either. It's just kind of trying to find little differences. I mean, overall, handle length between these two is actually very similar, but there's definitely more contouring in here, and you really do feel that. It gives you a nicer sort of pinch between your index finger and your thumb. So this point to the guards, I think they're pretty much identical actually between them lengthwise, but this is flat through here, so you can definitely tell the difference and the way the handles feel. And my preference is for this one. So yeah, so that's the Mountaineer 2, and I quite like the little knife. There's nothing I can say about it, and you know, that's a negative, that's for sure. Well, actually, I'll show you here. An old standby for a lot of people. It's buck 110. You can see size-wise, it's a nice compact little knife. So that might give some of you an idea as far as the size of it. And what else can I think of? Yeah, that's pretty much it. The sheath, it's a nice sheath. It's not my first choice for a sheath. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, but I definitely don't like it as much as some of the other styles. Like, I definitely prefer this style of sheath over that one. I mean, I've never tried it, but probably fit it in there without too much trouble. Yeah, a little bit tight, but you know, that would be my preference for a sheath with these. And the main reason is I like the flexibility of the belt loop on this. There's more of it. This one kind of holds you tight, so it's not a big deal, but I do like, you know, the sheath to be able to kind of flex a little bit and swing. You know, if you're moving, if you're sitting, or you're, you know, bouncing around on things, especially for a knife that you're going to want to carry potentially every day, right? Having, you know, maybe a little different style sheath might be better, but in some ways, having something that holds tight to you, you can have, you know, your shirt sort of hang over it or whatever might be preferable. But yeah, I don't know. I haven't given it enough time on the belt to really have it break in yet. So I like these little sheaths. So if you could fit it in here, which I think you probably could. They probably have an updated one, because this one was a super tight fit for my Bravo EDC there. But yeah, I don't think you'd fit it in that one. I'm actually curious to know if they have one that would fit that knife, because that would be actually a really nice knife to put in a pocket sheath. It's not overly big, so it's very similar size, so you could get away with it for sure. But anyways, yeah, there you go. That's the Mountaineer 2. Well, thanks for watching, and look forward to reading your comments.